guys, this is the I Can Speak To podcast where everyone can speak. We just speak in different ways. I'm your host, Portia B. So, the I Can Speak To podcast is formulated from my own opinions and do not represent the opinions or ideas of anyone else. So, today we're on episode 9 and we're close to finishing out the season very, very soon. But this week's episode 9, is called Gather Round, It's Fam Time. So before we get into the episode, I want to talk about some things that I like to do with my family and friends to pass time, have some fun, catch up, things like that. So a big thing that we like to do is have game nights. And we like to play a lot of games. And I have a family and I have friends that are extremely competitive. So we like to play Uno, we like to play Catopoly, which is basically Monopoly, but it's like a cat version, essentially. And then we like to play Life and Spoons. And if you haven't heard about Spoons, I'm not going to bear you the time of explaining it, but look it up. It's a really fun game. We also like to do Sunday brunch. We like to do movie nights. I just had a movie night, actually. We watched Inception. And we like to do ice cream trips and go on walks. And before I just said game nights, I wanted to mention too, so I told you my family and friends are really competitive. So when we do Uno, we actually get the wild cards. You know how you can write on them? So we write things like draw 6, draw 4, lose a turn, and then there's one that says you're out. So when you get the you're out card, that means when someone pulls it down, like you are completely out of the game and you lose. And I did this to Chris one time when he went to the bathroom. We went through the cards and took all the really good cards so that we could just hit him with all the bad stuff. And he was out of the game. It was really sad, but it was really fun to see and watch. So anyway, check out those games and tell me if you like them. They're a lot of fun. I think you can get Catopoly off of Amazon. But anyway, let's get into the episode. So like I said, this is Gather Around, It's Fam Time. And I have a song stuck in my head because before I started recording, I was acting silly in here and I was like, gather around, doom, doom, it's fam time. So I was doing that, so now it's stuck in my head. So we have a couple of topic points this week for the episode, but the first one is, why is family time important? So we're going to be talking about the benefits of family time, scheduling, and things of that nature. So I want to tell you something my grandfather always says. I kind of grew up with him essentially when my mom was working a lot. My grandparents would watch me quite often, and to my grandfather, family is extremely important, and he would always say, we're gonna ride till the wheels fall off. And essentially he was just saying that our family is everything. Like, we're always gonna be together, kind of like Bad Boys, we ride together, we die together, that type of thing. So it's important to think of family as a very sacred bond. So time with family creates and builds strong relationships with one another. Scheduling in that bonding time helps make intimate and more loving connections. So like I said, it's important to schedule it, especially if you have a busy or hectic lifestyle. It's important to get that time in with your family just so you guys can connect and grow with one another and know how each other's doing. A lot of people, we like to talk to our friends about our problems and this or that, but it's important to have family members you can speak to about, hey, how are you? Like, what's going on? We don't want those, when people ask you, hey, how you doing? And you just say good, but it's like, it's not into you to be like, actually, well, this all is going on. So we want family to be able to talk to them and say, actually, I'm not doing that great. I didn't have the best day. This happened or this situation occurred. So you need that bonding time, and, those times build the most connections and build the most sacred relationships, which is extremely important. Also, you learn more about one another and learn to deal with challenges better. When you feel like you have a supportive family and you go through challenges, you feel like you can push through. technically. Oh, Jasmine Wright, push through. You need those people in your life that can support you and make you feel good when you are struggling or you have challenges that are tough to face alone. So, and also, like I said, you get to learn more about each other, and our struggles make us stronger. So that bond really gets a lot stronger, and you get more connected when you have family to go through those things with. Also, the last point in this topic point was creates a safe haven. So families become a secure base for others to share their experiences, their stories, and their life. Everybody needs a safe haven. We need people that we can turn to, people that we can share fun experiences with, and even sad experiences. So I think that's extremely important, and those are the benefits of why family is so important. So the next thing I wanted to talk about with you guys is how do I connect the language? So basically, how do I have those meaningful conversations during family time? The I Can Speak To podcast is all about building language in children, whether they're verbal or nonverbal. And, in these families, we have children who are nonverbal, whether or not they have a disability or, they're just not talking yet because they're very young. You can use those family type settings and spending time together to build that language with your children and to build language with one another. So when we're talking about language, we're making meaningful conversations during family times and meal times. Some examples about that is asking each other how our day was, especially children. Children, whether you work a full-time job, you work a 9 to 5, obviously you might have your children in a daycare setting, or they might be at school. Right now, there's so much going on. Kids are doing virtual learning at home. Whatever it may be, it's important to talk to your children about how their day was, what they learned in school, what they did with their friends, or anything of that nature. And even if your child is nonverbal, there's ways to talk to them. Actually, I'm thinking about a student that I had, and I'm back at the school, and I was talking to her, and she's essentially nonverbal. She has a couple of words that she can say. And she does some signs, but she was telling me how her day was with her signs, and even with expressions like we've talked about before. Or if you have a visual board that you can use at home with cue cards to say yes or no. I had a happy day, sad face, happy face, things of that nature to get your child to build that language, and so you can talk to them. I always like to reiterate that it's important to talk to children, all children, whether verbal or nonverbal, because we all, again, can speak in many different ways. I can tell when a child is excited when we're speaking about school. I can tell if they're excited about playing a game or trying a new food, or if they had fun walking in the park, whatever it may be. Use that time to talk to your child, or essentially, like I said, I like to do the game nights things. There's different games you can play with your children during that family time to build language, and you can talk to them. Again, remember that even if a child is not verbally saying back to you what you are saying to them, they're still getting that input of language, which is extremely, extremely important, guys. Extremely important. So I also wanted to say eating meals together. I think it's so important to eat meals together. As well as preparing meals together, because I feel like now in this day and age, people kind of just eat wherever in the house. You might have one person eating dinner on the couch. Drop my water bottle. You might have another person that might be eating at the dining room table by themselves, or somebody sitting outside, whatever it may be. It's important that families eat those meals together, because you're kind of forced to talk. You're around each other, so it's important to put the electronics down and limit children's screen time as well. So, preparing those meals together as well, talking about the different ingredients, the different spices we're using, the seasonings, what we need to preheat the oven to, why we need to grill it, do we need to saute it, do we need to bake it. All those words are building language with your child, and it's fun because you're cooking together, which is, again, essentially building relationships and having that safe haven with each other and having that fun. So I mentioned electronics. Limit children's screen time. I know I just said it, but too much screen time in younger children can really delay language and development. And there's a lot of studies that's been on this. It's very important to know that, if you're in a grocery store, I see it all the time. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I always see children in the buggy, and they have like a tablet and they're playing a game. And, it might be something like ABC Mouse, something you think that they're learning from, but essentially you talking to your child is going to give them more language, and they're going to learn more that way instead of them having so much screen time. So it's important to limit that screen time, put your phones down, and have that time with your family. So just remember that. Also, be curious about what's going on with everyone. With encouraging to one another. Pay attention to their expressions, their emotions, how they're reacting to you. See if there's anything going on with them. Be attentive when they're talking to you. Look at them and listen to them. And listen not to respond, but to actually listen to them about how they're feeling and their emotions. Also, don't force it. There's a lot of times that you have a lot of times where people will force conversation with one another, and with family it can be extremely natural. So make sure that you're not forcing that time with them, and it's actually genuine and it's natural. Protect your relationships, and like I said, make them sacred. I think that friends are fun. It's good to have friends and people that you connect with outside of your family that you can share different experiences with. But to me, there's nothing like family. Family will always have your back no matter what happens. And I know that may not be true for everybody. Some people come from broken homes, or they might have better relationships with their friends, but I think if you have a family that might be going through tough times, or you guys aren't as close, it's important to try and to support each other and find a way to have a common ground with one another and talk to each other and build those relationships with one another. Again, make it sacred. So the last, well, not technically last, but the last topic points of this episode is I want to give some examples of family time, so ways to gather together and how to be conscious on the time that's spent. So some things I thought that were really fun might be having a picnic, and it doesn't have to be at a park. It can be in the backyard of your home. It can even be in your dining room if you want it to be. You can even get a picnic table cover. Having a picnic is a really fun way. You can talk about what foods we want to bring to the picnic. You can talk about different fruits and vegetables you can have. Healthy habits episode, just go back and look at that. Go bananas. We can talk about all those things at the picnic. You can grow a garden together. I mean, I can't tell you how many garden kits I've seen at Target now, and I'm like, what? So you can do all those things. Even the dollar store, I think they have a lot of, you can get soil, you can get the seeds, and you can plant things. We're actually doing that right now in my classroom. They're having a garden that they're starting. So I think that's really fun that you can do outside, and you can talk about the soil. You can talk about the grass. Remember the sign for grass. Grass. I think soil is this. I believe this is soil for ASL signs. So you can talk about the gardening tools, again, building language, and you're spending time together. Library trips. Me, Austin, and Chris would do this a lot. We used to go to a library and spend time together and pick out different books. Meal times, we talked about this. Baking is really fun because, again, talking about the different measurements, talking about the different foods that you need, the ingredients, and then having the enjoyment of tasting the final product is really, really fun. So think about that. Also, indoor camping. I think that's really fun. Did I say library or did I say library earlier? I don't know. I think it's just common for me to say library. So library trips is a good idea for family time. So back to what I was saying, indoor camping is also very fun. Setting up a tent in your living room, having a movie night together, or, having little snacks, having a little indoor camping sleepover, stuff like that. It's really fun, and it's something different, from the regular routine that you guys might have at home. So those are my extra tips for you guys about examples of family times and ways to gather. So I do have a book mention because we love reading at the I Can Speak To podcast. So this book is called Life with My Family by Renee Hooker and Carl Jones. And I believe it's an interracial family. And they're basically the little girl. Her family's so busy and it's very chaotic. And she has a little baby brother. And everything's always crazy and hectic, and she's wondering what her life would be like if it was much more calmer. So the book is just starting to make her realize that she should appreciate and accept her family more for how they are, because every family is different. Some are crazy, some are fun, whatever it may be. So check that book out. Again, it's called Life with My Family by Renee Hooker and Carl Jones. And before I go into my last piece, I wanted to show you guys the ASL sign for family, because this past week I taught my children, the lesson topic was family. So we learned the sign for family, and it's family. Family. I'm going to do it one more time. Family. And we also like to sing, we are family, yeah, yeah. I got all my sisters with me. My kids love to sing songs, so we were singing that while we were doing the sign for family. So last but not least, of course, we have the quote of the day. Are you ready for this? All right, I got this off Pinterest. I do not know who this quote is from, but I really, really liked it. So it is, family is like music. Some high notes and some low notes, but always a beautiful song. So again, family is like music, some high notes, some low notes, but always a beautiful song. And this is not a quote, but it is a song. It's one of my favorite songs. You've probably heard it. Man, I can't even think of the artist. But it's called Home is Wherever I'm With You. And you should look up that song. And if I remember, I'll put it in the episode later. I'll make a post about it and write what the song's called. But it's called Home is Wherever I'm With You. And it's one of my favorite songs because it's just a reminder that, the people in your family are their love. That's home. Being with those people. That's what you cherish the most. So, I wanted to tell you guys, not next week, but the week after, I'm going to have a season finale, and I'm going to do a Q&A for episode 10, because this is going to be the last episode of the season. So if you follow the podcast and you love it, if you have questions for me, please DM me on my Instagram page at the I Can Speak To podcast, or you can email me at icanspeak2185@gmail.com. And this episode will be a live stream. So you can also ask questions in the comments. I'm going to be on YouTube. So keep that in mind. And again, you can send me questions. I don't mind. It's going to be a great, great, great episode. I'm really excited. So just let me know and send me stuff.
Email
again, the email is icanspeak2185@gmail.com. And if you don't already, follow me on Instagram at the I Can Speak To podcast. And if you need the link for my YouTube, it is in my bio on Instagram under my link tree. So check that out. And I have a couple more announcements. I'm going to have my logo done soon so I can get some shirts out to you guys. And I'm thinking about doing a giveaway next season. So just make sure you keep that reminder in your head that that's coming soon. And as always, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. You are the best. And I wanted to tell you that this awesome podcast, is produced by Tremendo at S Life Creative. So I almost said I will see you guys again. I don't know why that is such a habit for me. But you will hear me, not I will hear you. You will hear me on the next episode. See you then. Bye.